The sensations you now see here, touch, taste, smell, and think, play the seemingly real Thai self Taoist and worldwide are all built upon a foundation of calipsation, current of energy. The six senses and six consciousnesses intertwine like a net when the eyes perceive form, touch, and taste have already quietly attached themselves. This endless storm of perception is the very womb in which consciousness is born. Why does consciousness arise? It is merely the instinctual struggle of a flesh and blood body caught in the flood of sensations, clothed, seeking pleasure, avoiding pain, and striving for survival. The very source of all consciousness lies in these seemingly ordinary traits and sensations. When intense pleasure arises, craving spirals out of control like vines. When pain descends, anger spreads like poisonous fire. These subtle sensations are the most precise bearings of the great wheel of reincarnation, dragging consciousness down into the cycle of birth and death, preventing liberation. In the long river of practice, we ceaselessly seek the true meaning of liberation and awakening. Yes, sensation, like a mysterious labyrinth hidden along the path of practice, is both the root of all problems and the greatest obstacle to liberation from reincarnation. Once we can unlock the shackles of, quote, sensation-tation, we can pierce through the mist and walk toward the bright shore of awakening. Our six senses and six consciousnesses are originally one when we use our eyes to see. Touch and other senses also come into play simultaneously. Isolated sensory stimuli alone do not ensnare us, but the synergistic interplay of multiple senses fosters a more three-dimensional judgment of events or objects. This is precisely how Buddha nature functions, constantly and impartially receiving a myriad of external information, particularly concerning the same object. The more feedback the brain processes, the greater the number of judgments formed, rendering the external environment increasingly tangible and multidimensional. Consequently, our minds become entangled in this web of external feedback. It would be truly extraordinary if we did not become engrossed, our consciousness scattered. Amidst this intricate tapestry of senses, consciousness quietly emerges. The essence of consciousness is the body's protective reaction to external stimuli, and the ultimate source of all these reactions is feel sensation. Family, click on the link at the bottom left to place an order for purchase.
Thank you for your support. I sincerely wish you good health and all the best.
Intense sensations act as powerful magnets, enticing us to cling to pleasant experiences and recoil from painful ones, firmly binding our consciousness within the vortex of reincarnation from which we cannot extricate ourselves. Each sensation propels us further along the Guidal of reincarnation, perpetuating our cycle of birth and death. However, the path of practice offers us the possibility of breaking free from the bondage of sensation. When we truly still our minds in meditation, focusing on sensations without being led astray, and merely observe them with quiet awareness, a remarkable transformation unfolds. The five senses gradually fade, the mind experiences a sudden loss of equilibrium, and a sense of panic arises as the pious self-type accustomed to clinging to sensations finds no foothold, plunging into disarray. At this pivotal moment, if we remain unshaken and continue to observe with lucid clarity, we discover that consciousness has vanished. Without the five senses, the concept of self-type becomes untenable and consciousness loses its foundation. Deprived of the nourishment of sensation, the self-type perishes without the existence of true self. Giga consciousness crumbles like a sandcastle. At this juncture, the sole faculty we retain is the capacity to perceive all occurrences. This is Buddha nature, awareness that encompasses all yet remains unstained. This state transcends verbal description. It is vacuous yet pervasive, devoid of past or future, free from discrimination or deliberation. When thoughts arise, such as Teresa, I am practicing, I want to practice, past, future, Teresa, discriminating consciousness persists, reappearing like a specter and tightening the chains of reincarnation. Discriminating mind consciousness is a double-edged sword, prone to provoking deliberation and leading us astray, entangling us once more in the web of sensations and the trap of reincarnation. As long as the five senses encounter the external world, a cascade of reaction signals is transmitted to the brain. Driven by the instinct to protect the self, the brain consciousness initiates thinking and deliberation. Consequently, consciousness operates ceaselessly in daily life, denying our body and mind a moment of tranquility. Thus, we lack the time and energy to focus on our inherent Buddha. nature. The mind follows these reactions, compelling involuntary action, which in turn generates new sensations and conscious feedback, perpetuating the cycle. Ensnared in this vicious loop, life is governed by external forces, bereft of autonomy and liberation. Ultimately, we realize that as long as the mind fixates on external reactions, sensations, an unceasing torrent of deliberations ensues, denying the mind even a moment of peace. By releasing attachment to external reactions, sensations, and merely observing them with stillness, all thoughts within cease, returning to the essence of life, Buddha nature, the capacity to perceive all that arises naturally. Hence, the core of practice lies here, not in pursuit of lofty states, not in experiencing extraordinary meditative phenomena, not in obsessing over the correctness of one's path, not in scrutinizing states during meditation, and certainly not in cultivating supernatural power. These are all externalities. As long as the mind clings to them and refuses to let go, it becomes entangled in externalities, and inner peace remains elusive. The essence of life and practice is to return to Buddha nature and abide there. Practice is thus remarkably simple. By so doing, life remains unaffected by externalities. The wheel of reincarnation halts and liberation is attained. Buddha nature is boundless and partially storing information about our rebirths into various forms of existence, whether it be the freedom of the celestial realm, the ignorance of the animal realm, or the strife of the Ashura realm. Buddha nature perceives them all as they are. However, the physical bodies of beings in different realms impose limitation. When our Buddha nature is reborn into them, it is influenced by these constraints. The body receives sensation and chiyo in order to survive. Various deliberations arise, leading to the emergence of consciousness discriminating mind and forming a subjective limitation. Yet the essence of Buddha nature remains unchanged, still possessing the capacity to perceive all. However, habitual tendencies arising from sensations like filth that pollute our Buddha nature. Since time without beginning, this pollution has accumulated unceasingly. Sensations give rise to discriminating mind, consciousness, which triggers actions, and actions generate new discriminating mind, forming a closed cycle akin to dominoes and entrenching us deeper in reincarnation. Family, click on the link at the bottom left to place an order for purchase. Thank you for your support. Sincerely wish you good health and all the best. Thus, among the 5 aggregates here is sensation King is the foremost obstacle to practice. By releasing sensation, consciousness dissipates and subsequent problems caused by consciousness cease to exist. We revert to the essence of life, the capacity to perceive all that arises, which is Buddha nature, the ultimate truth. The 12 links of dependent origination expounded by the Buddha resemble an interconnected chain. Breaking one link suffices for liberation. Anteater sensation reconstitutes the most pivotal link in this chain. Severing the chain of sensation shatters the wheel of reincarnation. In daily life and meditative practice, we must remain vigilant to the presence of deep sensation aggregation. Whether confronted with life's joys and sorrows or various states in practice, we should adopt an observing mindset unswayed by sensation. When pleasure and pain assail us, we should not drift with the current, but coldly observe the tide. Soft the vines of sensation wither, the tree of consciousness topples, and the poisonous fruits of greed, hatred, and delusion find no soil to take root. Releasing the grasp of sensations, call all phenomena perceived and feedback signals received within the mind. When the mist of sensations dissipates, the inherent nature of life emerges. This unborn and undying luminous essence of awareness is our true home. By truly breaking free from the shackles of sensations, we liberate ourselves from the suffering of reincarnation, march toward the path of awakening, and return to the pure and unstained Buddha nature. Family, click on the link at the bottom left to place an order for purchase. Thank you for your support. I sincerely wish you good health and all the best.